I don't think the principles do change. I think they are ironclad. We all learn what we learn throughout time. And like I said about leadership principles, I don't think they change. I think we put different words around them to describe them, and new books come out and things like that.
The same thing, right?
But I open it and I go, well, that's the same as whatever.
Well, I also have this too. Is when we look back into past experience, there's a tendency to hide them, and, be not be really being proud of them, but trying to, leave that aside. That has already passed. That's not me anymore. I don't want anything to do with that. But in a way, I feel like some of those experiences have shaped the person that we are nowadays, right? And sometimes it takes courage to look back and to reflect on some of those things.
And what you're going to be good at and responsible for.
Right.
Hopefully they've grown into and become professionals and know what they need to do. And so it's more than allocation of resources and work. I'll do this, you do that kind of thing. It becomes more of, I know I'm going to do that. I know you're going to do that. Let's focus in on how we accomplish it. But this is what I'm going to do to try and fix that. And I'm going to need your help in such and such a way to help resolve that. The people will be much more own up. I could not tell young people enough. Don't try and cover up mistakes. Don't try and do that. Be a young man or young woman. If you're going to be a leader, then be that leader and stand up. Yep, that was me. And this is what I'm going to do to fix it.
Right.
Yeah. And then do it.
Take full responsibilities, propose the solutions that will create buy-in from the team.
And your team and your fellow leaders in the organization and your customers will recognize it, because mistakes happen, things happen. But they'll also learn to respect you and appreciate you and your ability for work. And it becomes your logos, it becomes who you are. And people learn that over time. And they'll go, yes, I trust them. They said they would do this and they always did. It's important.
Yeah. There's one saying in Vietnamese I really like. Is it takes something like it takes us 1,000 times. It's just 1,000 times more difficult to build trust than to break trust.
Mm-hmm.
It only takes one screw up to
That's right.
Of somebody.
And other fellow leaders, customers, clients, whoever they may be, other people will look at you and go, how are you going to handle that? And they just sit back and watch and wait and see. And then they know who you are. And if you don't do it well, with honor, with respect, with humility, they'll write you off. Done. I don't trust them.
So let's talk about transformation of leadership. When you were new in leadership role, I believe that was in your 30s, 40s.
Yes, low 30s, probably.
Yeah, 30s. So when you were new in leadership role, compared to who you are right now, what are the changes that are the most significant? How did you transform your leadership experience?
I think we've alluded to some of that already.
Yeah.
In the early years, when I moved into a supervisor or manager kind of role, it's focused on what we talked about earlier, which is I've got to learn the role. What are the responsibilities in this role? What is the list of things that I'm supposed to check off every day and every week? Over time, though, when you put forth the effort to build those relationships with your team and your organization and your clients, because they're all different. right? You put forth the effort, you become kind of a natural transition where you really are simply leading a team. See, by this point in time, your team recognizes what you're an expert at and what you're going to be good at and responsible for.
Right.
Hopefully, they've grown into and become professionals and know what they need to do. And so it's more than allocation of resources and work. I'll do this, you do that kind of thing. It becomes more of, I know I'm going to do that. I know you're going to do that. Let's focus in on how we accomplish it. So leadership more is about guidance at that point, general guidance. They already know how the team works. They understand all that. But how is this project different than others? What are we going to deliver that might be different or additional value add? What are the roadblocks or the landmines that might come up on that project? Those are the things I'm sharing with the team and say, keep your eye out for that stuff. And it seems to work. Leadership is different, I think. I don't know that I did a good job there of describing it, but leadership is different later as you become more and more proficient. Right. With people that you know and work with, it's easier because there's less communication needed. They already know where you're coming from. Oh, good call on that. I didn't think about that. Excellent. Do think about that.
Do you see or believe in what leadership means change over time?
Nowadays,
principles that you had as a young leader change.
The actual principles, to be perfectly candid, principles of leadership, the things that make a good leader, I don't believe do change over time. I believe they're written in rock, in granite. There are certain rules to be a good leader. There definitely are. I think there are important things that are ingrained, and I would say, and I was thinking about it, Dad. I mean, talking to young leaders or want to be leaders that you're interacting with on a regular basis. And we just covered one of them. When you make a mistake, own up to it. Fix it. And acknowledge it. All you're doing is saying, I'm a human being and I made a mistake. And this is what I'm going to do to try and rectify that. And then I meant it. Then do it. But don't shy away from it. If you have to think for an hour or two how you're going to handle it, fine. But sometimes it's right in the moment. And the more you practice this, the easier it is. Suzanne 40, Brian, what's up with such and such? You're right, Suzanne. That's on me. I'm sorry. It rolls off very quickly. I had an excellent relationship with Suzanne. She was a customer at Accenture years. Customer. She'd say, what was up with such and such? And I go, well, per the email from 2.5 months ago, you said this. You're right, Brian. Thank you. I knew I could count on you to have that detail. Those are the kind of relationships that you have and you build over time. And it comes from doing things like owning up to your mistakes readily, quickly, and honestly. I'll tell you another thing that's very frustrating. You'd be surprised in organizations, be they young manager, middle managers, or older leaders in an organization, never, ever, ever take credit for someone else's work. Oh, it happens all the time. Oh, really? You did that? Your team did that. And you supported them. And they did excellent work. And you give the credit of the work done to the team who did it. And be honest about it. Trying to take credit for someone else's work is really lazy. And it's untrue. I have no respect for people that do that. Never. And always stand up. Never throw your own team under the bus, right? Oh, that was John on my team. Let me blame him and throw the responsibility over there. You're the manager. You're the leader. You and John, or you and the team, are responsible for resolving it. The unit. It does take more than one. So,
Definitely. It's a team sport.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's easier said than done for a lot of people, I feel like, to let others take the spotlight.
I mean, the skill worthy of investing and learning how to do.
Yeah.
And as you become a more seasoned leader, if you will, I will testify that there will be feelings that you don't even know when you're sitting back and you're watching someone on your team in the spotlight, or someone else that you coached or mentored, or somebody else doing something, and you just sit back and smile, knowing in your heart and in your mind, I helped with that. I don't have to tell anybody that. I know that. That lets me sleep well at night.
Yeah.
I don't need anybody else to know. I know it and they know it. They're the only two people that need to know it.
I feel like if the intention to help that person is to, really get them to be better, there's a sense of pride at the end of the day, right?
Exactly.
It's helping someone just to achieve personal gain, then you don't want that person to be in the spotlight. You want you to be in the spotlight.
Right. A tendency for that, yes. Mm-hmm.
Have any of those principles that you just share been applied to your life somehow, as a husband, as a father, as a member of your community?
I like to believe they all apply. See, one of your questions was about, has concept of leadership changed since retired? I've been retired 3 years now, almost 3 years. Still working. I'm doing blue collar work and physical labor, lose some weight, as you know, just be healthy again, rather than sitting in a chair in front of a computer as much as I did. I don't think the principles do change. I think they are ironclad. We all learn what we learn throughout time. And like I said about leadership principles, I don't think they change. I think we put different words around them to describe them, and new books come out and things like that.
Same thing, right?
But I open it and I go, well, that's the same as whatever, in my time. The great leaders of all time throughout human history have always been like that. Supportive of their team, protective of their team. Don't throw your own team under the bus. Don't take credit for what the team did. Honor and respect them. They'll give it back to you 10 times.
Yeah. At home, though, do you see yourself applying those principles to your daily relationships, your friends?
I tried, but I fail a lot. I got to be honest. It's harder because that's a personal, familial, family kind of deal.
Different dynamics.
It is different than a working relationship. Absolutely. How different?
How different?
It's more personal. And so while at work a problem can come up and it causes stress, it causes this, something comes up at home and it can be 3 times higher. So the emotions are running higher. It's harder to control. It's still good to walk away, think, and come back and then talk about it at work most of the time.
So do you see yourself handling things at home better after years of being as a leader in corporate?
I would say those that have known me for the decades that have would see a distinct difference, yes, from younger days. I handled things less well years ago. I still have work to do, though. I think that's all part of life, growing, maturing, learning. I have no intention to stop observing asking questions in my head and seeking answers in my life to try to be better until the day I die. So if I do, then I pretty much already died. And that goes back to an 11th grade English teacher's stuff. I still remember everything. All of us do. So I would challenge all your listeners to think back on your life. When have you seen this before? How did you feel? How do you want to do it differently this time around? And to work through those questions and continue to grease the wheel that squeaks.
Yeah. The thing with a lot of people, I also have this too, is when we look back into past experience, there's a tendency to hide them, be not be really being proud of them, but trying to, leave that aside. That has already passed. That's not me anymore. I don't want anything to do with that. But in a way, I feel like some of those experiences have shaped the person that we are nowadays, right? And sometimes it takes courage to look back and to reflect on some of those things.
A very good point. And I just want to respond right away with saying, okay, we're adults now, right? We're not an 8-year-old child. We're not a teenager anymore. We're adults. And so I'll use your word. If you don't have courage to look back, how are you going to have courage to look forward?
Yeah.
It's important to look at, and I think you hit the nail on the head, that there are things in my past, your past, every human being's past. You go, probably not my best day.
Yep.
Take courage, look back at it, and go, because it is part of you. Oh, it's part of you, and you can't deny it. It is, because it happened. So what are you going to do about that? What can I learn from that? How can I behave, internalize, think, question, do differently as a result of that looking back and leveraging that courage? And that's how I'll do better next time. If you don't, you're just going to repeat the same thing again. Don't want to do that.
Yeah. So from our discussion so far, that the way that I feel like the way social media and fast-paced content have made people believe about leadership is, hey, this is some kind of, it's there's a lot of glamour around it, right? There's a lot of fame associated with it, but when we unwrap it, it's more daily life related than we would have thought, right? It's communication, it's the relationships we have with people, it's the responsibilities that we take, right? And yeah, I feel like those things don't get talked about enough, at least in the contents that I'm familiar with on social media.
Well, I agree, but I would challenge the social media platforms today to say, okay, think about, who are you calling leaders? Are you talking about someone who's posting on social media, podcasts, videos, a news aspect or whatever, and who are they interacting with? Who are they leading? They're not leaders. They're individual contributors. They might be making money on social media. Making money has nothing to do with leadership. Nothing. Leading is doing what you're saying. Communicate. Interactions. Building the teams and sustaining the team to accomplish a goal together. That's leadership. You still make the same analogy in leadership roles. I can remember doing it right now. I had an Eastern European manager. I'm struggling with the country he came from at the time. He was ex-military too. And I would challenge him on his leadership school, because he had no problem throwing other people under the bus, this, that, or the other thing, on the team, some of the things that we talked about. I look at him and go, usually, if you think you've got the team following you up the hill to go into battle, I think you need to look behind you, because no one's coming. You're on your own. You've said so all along. You've got this. Well, go get it. That's what your team's going to tell you. Go get it. Good luck with that. Not the way to do. A lot of the social media stuff, I think, falls in that, and that it's right in line, I think, with one of my trial points was thinking about your brand. When we think about your brand, all of you and all the people listening talk about your brand. But what's that mean to you? Is it how many posts you got today? Is it how many likes you got? How many comments did you pen out? What was the depth of those comments? Did it generate additional conversation, communication, sharing, or not? What's the depth of that? Because that's not being on a leader. Hell, the Kardashians can have thousands of like clicks every day because they got this mocha at the coffee shop and they were wearing such an outfit. You're a leader? Police. Not even close. If you want to define your brand, though, I think we all need to, and it ties into my whole theme today, I think, is to think about your brand. Spend time with it. Put the time into deciding who and what you will be known for. And then do it. Simple. Do it. It applies to skills, technical acumen, competencies. Yeah, but your brand relates more to who you are as a person, how you interact with others, and how you will be remembered after interacting with them. To me, that's leadership.
How you will be remembered.
Well, I think that's a part of it, yeah. How you will be remembered. You know the line that I've shared it with you before. A person will forget what you exactly said during any encounter with them, but they will never forget how you made them feel. They'll never forget it. Why do I have friends from 30, 40 years ago? Ryan, what's up? Hey, good to talk to you. They know who I am as a person, and I know who they are. That's a genuine relationship. We can't do that with everybody, and that's okay. Don't have to. Doesn't matter if you're a leader, a manager, a supervisor on a team, as you're coming up through your young career and you're progressing and you're getting very competent at what you do. Just remember, every person watches, observes, and walks away from that interaction either believing you or not. Those are the only two choices they have. How do you want them to walk away from your interaction?
That exactly answered the questions I was going to ask. So thanks for sharing that. I feel like a lot of people are just confused on who to follow nowadays. You look at somebody who's successful, looks beautiful, go to places that look, beautiful with their lifestyle, but they seem to be really enjoying, but we never know what's going on in the background. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to distinguish between just pure boasting and sharing values.
And if you want to turn people off, go ahead, boast on yourself.
Yeah. So part of finding a true leader to follow in the process of becoming one is to really, like you said, go back to who we are, what kind of brand we want to build for ourselves, what we stand for.
I appreciate what you're saying wholeheartedly. I really do. And I would challenge your listeners to think about the possibility that if they want to look for genuine leadership, identify those traits in a handful of people that they go, I like that, I like that, I like that. And then go and stand in front of a mirror and say to yourself, if I am saying I want to be a leader, then I need to do something. I need to build me. I need to work on this. I need to try and achieve that. Being a leader is not handed to anyone. You have to earn it. And you do that through looking in the mirror and going, I don't know what I want to do. And dealing with that courage, that whole thing we talked about, and challenging and working through that. It's never done. It's a lifelong process and commitment. And sometimes you fail, and sometimes you have to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and go look in the mirror again and say, what I learned, and move on, and go apply it. And with each passing grade, you get to be a better runner, you get to be a better soccer player, you get to be a better athlete, you get to be a better musician, you get to be a better artist. By painting all picture, 10 pictures, what's the number? You said it, 1,000. Go do it 1,000 times, make it a habit. Yeah. That's hard. Yeah. Yeah. That's hard to do. I know. But if you want to succeed and be a genuine leader, that in anything, if it's.
Yeah, I think that's the message to end it there. It's a great topic. We can go on forever.
Absolutely. I like the next one in case we get there. How do you overcome those doubts and fears? I haven't thought much about that yet. It's a good one. You did a nice job on things to consider for our discussion today.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing everything. If you're watching this or listening to this, there are multiple versions of it available either on YouTube or Spotify or other platforms. But feel free to leave a comment and any questions, and we will get to it as much as we can. Absolutely. Thanks for listening, and see you in the next episode.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.